Hi, it's Jerry the King Lawler, and you're tuned in to the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I don't know why you are, but you are.
Amazing, says some guy. These men have changed broadcasting forever. The Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show.
Did you hear Roman Reigns? Yaki da, huh? You get it, Kev?
Oh, yeah, I can't afford Skype. The baseball analogy.
Yeah, come on, I just think that with Yaki da, I don't speak Japan, and you f***ing people.
Oh, yeah, f*** you, DT.
What do you think about that, Kev?
Oh, well, Batista's pretty f***ing sexy, and did I mention Roman Reigns gives me a boner? And, 1980s baseball and wrestling was better than anything else.
DonTony.com.
Oh, we got the music twice. Awesome. So nice. I had to play it twice. What's up, everyone? It is April 27th, 2020. Welcome to this edition of the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show. I am Don Tony, and join along with me, as always, is
Kev Castle. What's up, DT?
Yeah, what's going on?
Discord folk alike. What's going on, man? Everything's good?
No, not much. Just finished in my opinion, a very lackluster edition of Raw. I don't know how much I really want to see Andrade take up about more than a quarter of the show. Apollo Crews with the sympathy knee. Say that fast 10 times. I don't know. What'd you think of Raw overall?
I was going to say Andrade, well, you can maybe call it the Selena Vega hour. She had about an hour total time, as far as her stable, her TV time, interview time, backstage, front of stage. Selena Vega had clocked in about an hour tonight. I mean, listen, it's special circumstances, but she's turning in the manager. She's turning into the manager extraordinaire on this show.
Well, we talked about that last week, that WWE is like really putting her in a lot of segments. And look, let's be honest. Sex does sell. And I know a lot of people out there are going to immediately get triggered and say, oh, she's a lot more than that. Of course she is. She's talented. She's a good valet. She's a good manager. She wrestles well. But, the outfits that she's putting on is to be a little bit of eye candy as well. That's why when you look, especially Fox News, at the women journalists, you ever see any of them with like pimples or weighing 300 pounds or Shangada hair, disheveled? No, it's she's aesthetically nice to look at on television. Problem is that WWE, their ratings are in a massive decline. Vince, on a conference call last week, was talking about how, the Raw ratings have hurt because Lesnar's not there and they're trying to build up new stars. I mean, we hear this same shit every year. They have many more people that they could feature on television. The fact of the matter is that some of them don't want to be there right now because of the virus. And, Selena Vega's army, the Latinos are very talented, but I'm sorry, man. Seeing that opening 6-man tag that really was pointless. I mean, I know some of them are featured in a ladder match, but it was pointless. It didn't really it went over a half an hour with commercials. It didn't amount to anything. And then we got to get 15 more goddamn minutes of Apollo Crews and Andrade, which was a good match. But when you add the two together, it's like 1/3 of my Raw tonight was Andrade, Apollo Crews, and Triple H highlights.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And also, if they're trying to, get the ratings back the other way, they're definitely not going about it in any kind of smart way. They're utilizing people who are not an attraction. I mean, Zelina's great and everything, but people turn it on, they see her, they might turn to another channel. There's really nothing. Well, they see Apollo, like, isn't this guy like a jobber for the last 3 years? He's in feature matches now. I think they're, they might be sending a message to the fans that we're going to give you what we can. Here it is, like it or lump it or turn a channel. This is what it is. And I think they should put their best foot forward. And I'll even give AEW a little bit of credit because they have done that with the empty arena matches much more than Raw and SmackDown have. So and they have the wrestlers, but I don't know, DT, who wants to be here, who doesn't. I mean, it depends on who you read, who you ask. But if this is what they got, but I just don't think they're putting their best foot forward right now in Raw. I just don't think they are.
Ratings are ratings, and advertising revenue is advertising revenue. And I just imagine a TV show that is declining in ratings and declining in ratings and declining in ratings, and somebody saying, well, we have new actors on the show and we're trying to establish them and turn them into big stars. How you get younger actors over in a TV show is you blend them with veteran stars. And Apollo Crews, to me, it's the Smoke and Mirrors tour all over again. They've done that to Dana Brooke. They've done that to Naomi. Unfortunately, they've done that to others. What happens? They qualify for a pay-per-view match, and then suddenly they win a match here. They go 15 minutes here. They go 10 minutes here. And Apollo Crews is talented as fuck. But once this Money in the Bank is over with, Apollo Crews, I don't see any momentum. There is so many others above him on the food chain, and you mix in this Brandon Vink and Shane Thorne and whatever, whoever the guy's name is that fought Lashley today. I mean, what is this?
Denzel something.
Denzel Dijournet. I remember it sounded like a French disc, like a French dressing. Like, give me a salad with some Dijournet on it, whatever the hell his name is. I got it written down. I'm just too lazy to pull it. I tell you, I don't get it. And the funny thing is, Jinder Mahal made his return today, destroyed Akira Tozawa. Happy to see Jinder Mahal back. I actually, have warmed up to him. In the past, and I've gotten burned by a lot of people because of his championship run, which was not that good, let's be honest. But, I see Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre crossing paths, without a doubt. You could see that a mile away. Mm-hmm. And some people have said, it's a shame they released Heath Slater. He could have even been the referee, because he was a referee for a little while.
Could have been.
But I tell you, it made me think today. Why is it that you release someone and it's almost like bridges are burned? Right now, I honestly think, I know it kind of goes against tradition, it goes against the grain, but you know what I would do? If they're going to have Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre go at it in the very near future, why not call Heath Slater up and say, listen, I know, unfortunately we have to downsize, but, would you like to come in for 1 or 2 weeks, for one, taping for 2 weeks and maybe referee Jinder versus Drew, and maybe you do a segment here and there. We'll pay you a little bit extra money. You fly him in, he does it, he goes back home. And the best thing about it is everything on TV now for WWE is pre-taped until July. Tape delay today. This was recorded earlier today. If anybody, you bring anybody that's recently released in for a quick shot, you don't have to worry about someone going on the microphone and then trying to shoot or trying to say something nasty or getting up and walking out. Everything is pre-taped. Heath Slater comes in, he tries to go into business for himself. You just redo it, you kick him out of the fucking building, and he never is seen in the WWE universe ever again.
Yeah, they could do that. I mean, again, make it interesting. Like, put some of that stuff together with fans like, oh, yeah, these guys have that connection. That's right. Make it interesting. Again, they're not utilizing stuff that they should be. And they're claiming that they're pushing new stars or giving other people a chance. Tamina's another example, someone who just walked back in the door and now is winning matches left and right and then getting pushed again. And maybe they're thinking, with the COVID and not knowing when things are getting back, maybe this is the only time we're going to give these Apollos and Taminas a push. Or honestly, DT, they could be on the release list next.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody tuning in live on the replay. Shout out to Phil Maffey, who says he wants to get back into the show and start watching again. But the shows are so bad, you can't get into it. The wrestlers are trying. I don't think anybody is ever disputing, the effort of the people that are being put in. But my God, NXT can't even pull 750,000 viewers. And you're pulling people from NXT and they end up getting squashed. Or you're pulling people from NXT that are not a ratings draw whatsoever. And it's like, it just feels like filler. And I tell you, this is mind-boggling. This is really mind-boggling because when you look at the roster, there are many other stars that they're just not utilizing. And yes, some, I think, have chosen to stay home. You think of Randy Orton. You think of a few others. Edge, what the fuck happened to him? Yeah. It's like, and I want to point this out, too. I don't want to start any controversy today, but I want just people to think about this. I swear to God, this is not throwing shade on Becky Lynch, all right? I kind of talked about this before, but today I decided to do a little research just to make sure that I was accurate with it. Now, Kev, she's had over like a 360-day run, slightly over a year, all right? So 6 months ago would be about 180 days. It would be about half of her title run. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. With the exception of a couple of house shows, put the house shows aside for a minute, something I think people will find fascinating. Do you know how many singles matches Becky Lynch has had since November 1st? 6 months ago.
You have the accurate number?
Oh, yeah, I pulled it. Guess how many singles matches in almost the last 6 months, almost half of her title reign, that people are saying is one of the greatest of all time. How many singles matches do you think she had? With the exception of a couple of house shows. She did like 3 or 4 house shows. But how many singles matches do you think she's done in the last 6 months?
Less than 50.
She has done a total of 6. She wrestled Rhea Ripley on the November 20th NXT. She wrestled Kairi Sane on the December 2nd Raw. She wrestled Kairi Sane again on the January 20th Raw. She's wrestled Asuka at the 2020 Royal Rumble. She wrestled Asuka on the February 10th edition of Raw. And she wrestled Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania 36. Here's another tidbit. She hasn't wrestled on Raw in almost 3 months.
Holy shit. I thought you were talking about if she was at, I got the question wrong. I thought you meant like house shows, how many appearances she's made for the...
yeah, she's had tag matches, absolutely, 3-ways. Of course, I don't want anybody to think that she hasn't been active, but you're the women's champion. You defend the title, usually against the singular person. And when you look back in almost 6 months, putting a couple of house shows aside, the house shows were natty, and nothing against natty, but 6, a total of 6, and she has not wrestled on Raw in the last 3 months. Explain that to me. And that match with Shayna Baszler wasn't that long either.
No.
So
that was actually one of the shorter matches.
I mean, I wish somebody last week on the conference call would have said, when Vince said, "Oh, we're trying to build up new stars," and blah, blah, blah. Somebody said, "But Vince, is Becky Lynch injured? Does she not want to wrestle on television right now because of coronavirus?" She is the man. She is the focal point, arguably, of the entire Raw roster. And from what I understand, she is not injured. Explain to me Why she hasn't wrestled on Raw. And the funny thing is that hopefully people start picking up on this, and then something tells me that miraculously, maybe 2 weeks from now, she wrestles. Because remember, they already taped Raw for next week. So I don't know if she's on or not. I don't think so, because they would have advertised her today, saying, next week, Becky Lynch returns to the ring. Explain that to me. You're number one person not wrestling.
You're right. And also tonight, what do we get? The retread of shit we've seen time and time again. How many times are we going to see that fucking WrestleMania clip? Unless Ronda is coming back and they're trying to put her back in our minds that Ronda is still a factor in this. But Seth Rollins, her live-in boyfriend or fiance, he's on all the time. He was here tonight. Why can't she be there? That's like, you can't really say that, oh, she's afraid of COVID, so she's not afraid of Seth getting it, who lives with her. So that doesn't make that COVID excuse doesn't fly with me, because if Seth, who lives with her, is engaged to her, makes the show, she's going to make the show. So I don't know what it is, DT.
I have no idea either. I'll be honest with you. And one of our listeners, Dalvin Brown, says the Elimination Chamber match with the women can be seen as the problem. All the women got manhandled badly, and none of them are viable to face Becky. Well, that's WWE's problem.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it is. It is WWE.
It's WWE's problem. I mean, that's why they're getting the money. I mean, this is their challenge. They put the Elimination Chamber, which was Kaka's. Why is she not fighting, Danielle DeJournette? Why isn't she fighting somebody from NXT? There's no explanation. And if the man doesn't have the kahunas to wrestle right now during the coronavirus because she feels uncomfortable, I totally respect that. But don't do this fucking smoke and mirrors and showing WrestleMania replay and WrestleMania replay and WrestleMania replay and WrestleMania replay. But meanwhile, the shows are lackluster. They're the only sport on television right now that's not on replay. And you would think that, let's bring all, the major guns, no pun intended, on TV. And they're absent, Edge won his fucking match, not even I understand, maybe he did the match, goes home for a couple of months, don't want to come back. Where's the simulcasts?
Yeah.
Again, nothing against Andrade, Austin Theory, Angel Garza, Zelina Vega. I don't want to see these fuckers on my TV for almost 1/3 of every week. I'm telling you, man. And now, MVP, Montavia, whatever the fuck his name is, piss. That's what it is. It's an MV piss break. Now he's managing two guys that look like they just fucking got pulled from the car wash on the corner. I mean, Brandon Vink, Shane Thornton, they're not bad, but talk about random fucking people. Seriously, when MVP was saying that stuff, I mean, seriously, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander should have looked at each other and go, you gotta be kidding me. Seriously, it's just a joke. This is like random bullshit put together. I did not like this episode of Raw at all.
No, me either, and I agree with you, DT. It's very random. If anything, this looks like stuff that you should have on NXT, like where this new team challenges or whatever. This is a major television show in prime time that USA really counts on pretty much in their lineup. And WWE, I think, has the attitude of like, yeah, put these guys out there, put MVP, give him a couple of segments. I don't know who's thinking that this is the way to go. Again, unless there's this ass backwards thinking of, well, this would be the only time to get guys like this on TV. If we had the crowd back there, these guys are nowhere going to get near any camera time like this. So let's push them now, see if there's any interest. But they got to know that tomorrow there's going to be a very disappointing rating there for Raw. Would you be shocked if it's even less than it was last week?
Yeah, it's gonna be very close to last week. I mean, last week, I don't remember if the NFL draft was part of Raw last week. I know SmackDown was, but I don't remember if it was. But man, again, there's no excuse for this. I mean, they're the only sport on television with entertainment. And just think, when you hear, oh, well, this NBA game on Monday night did 9 million viewers, or, this baseball game did 7 million viewers, or this football game did 12, 15 million viewers. Where are all these motherfuckers? You mean to tell me none of them just want to just like throw on some wrestling for a night. I mean, I just don't understand that. And the best part is when all those sports were on TV, we didn't have a virus. Everybody is pretty much forced to stay at home, and they're still not turning it on. I don't get it, man. I actually, you know what? The only highlight of today's Raw, and it wasn't even using the term bullshit in the Seth Drew McIntyre segment. You know, oh my God, he said bullshit. You see this video game that's coming out? Battlegrounds?
No, what is that?
Oh my God. I got to be honest with everybody out there, and I'm going to make a prediction. And right now, I'm streaming online some of the video of it. I'm not playing the audio because I'm a little worried about copyright infringement. But this video game that's coming out, it's like an arcade style video game, and you know, to me, you know, there was a few people that were trying to compare it to other games in the past, and it's almost like WWE All-Stars meets NBA Playgrounds. And basically, it's a wrestling game, but it's like over-the-top arcade style. It's all, you remember when we used to play WrestleMania in the 80s? You picked like Road Warrior or Hogan or, you know, the Ultimate Warrior, and it would just be arcade, punch, kick. Like you didn't have to build leagues. You just beat the fuck out of people. But this has over-the-top graphics where they show a clip where The Rock hits John Cena, and John Cena like leaps over the rope, and there's an alligator waiting with his mouth open, and it looks like he's going to swallow John Cena. Now, we're not going to see any blood or guts. It's probably going to look like a goofy cartoon. But I tell you, I have been out of tune of wrestling video games for years and years and years. I think this video game coming out in the fall is going to be one of the most popular WWE video games of all time. Just the over-the-top arcade style and just, you know, the over-the-top violence. It almost reminds me a little bit of NBA Jam. Remember NBA Jam?
That I remember, yeah.
All right, boom, shakalaka. He's on fire. I mean, it just looks like as you're beating the shit out of your other opponent, you start getting fire, you get green, you get this, you get that. It's just so over-the-top, arcadish, stupid. I am going to be getting this. I think it's going to be one of the best-selling WWE video games of all time, and I'm not kidding when I say that. I am so looking forward to this game. I hope everybody out there goes and checks out some of the video and some of the footage. Now, the video that's come out, all we know in the game so far is Cena, Rock, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Steve Austin is in the graphic. But man, I tell you, they're going to have other legends in the game, but just the idea that it's almost like goofy Mortal Kombat. You know, it's like, I'm telling you, I can't wait for this freaking game to come out.
When does the game come out?
In the fall. In the fall. Figure about 3-4 months, 4 or 5 months.
Cool.
So, now we don't know what platforms. Boom, shakalaka. Everybody's reminiscent NBA Jam now. But I'm telling you, it's like NBA Jam meets NBA Playgrounds meets. Man, I saw it. I saw people that were like pissed off, like, the fuck is an alligator doing in this video? That's the whole idea. You know, you knock somebody over the rope and there's a freaking alligator to swallow him up. Like, come on. It's just wacky stuff. Right now in this world, you know, maybe not sort of like comparing it to video games, but right now in this world, we need some simple, immediate smile on your face, enjoyment. We don't need no, let me manage a wrestler from NXT all the way to WrestleMania and being a GM or promoter. Just give me a fucking video game that all I have to do is hit 3 or 4 buttons. You know, we do a create a wrestler. I could create some people that I don't like and just, you know, punch him over the top rope and see him get swallowed by an octopus or something, you know?
Exactly.
I'm telling you, it's a game. I know you've been out of love with video games for a while as well. Me, I still have, you know the arcade I have in my house? I have PlayStation 2. that I don't use, but I have like a mini arcade game that has like Miss Pac-Man, Gallagher, Space Invaders, Dig Dug. Like, I'll still play those. But since, the last 10 years, I really have not been interested in video games. This one immediately piqued my interest, and I said, yeah, this is a game I want to check out. I'm telling you, it's called WWE Battlegrounds. It's 2K Battlegrounds. It's going to be coming out in the fall. They're going to be announcing additional stars in the very near future, and I think it's definitely worth a check. And I agree with you, Dalvin. Becky could be shown on a video game. She could be shown on a WrestleMania Rewind, which we got the full fucking match 2 or 3 weeks ago, if you remember. But she can't be featured on Raw. The man can't even do an interview segment.
No, again, well, I'm checking out this video game. I tell you, things keep going the way they're going. Maybe I'll get into video games again, something else to do. But I maybe check that out. If it's coming out in the fall, maybe I'll even buy it. Like I said, I might get back into it just to do something different.
Yeah. Ben, we're not denying it. We've definitely been out of touch with video games because we got so many other things going on. I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just like, me, I used to be the type that if I played a video game, I'd play it for 8 hours or 6 hours. And I just don't have that kind of time anymore, and the patience as well. I used to love. I was playing out of the park baseball. Anybody that's ever played that game, I still play it now, and I still use the 2018 version, 2019 version. But that's all strategy and everything. But beyond that, I just think right now, just a simple arcade game, a couple of laughs, a couple of, what the fuck am I looking at? But goofy stuff. Like, you don't want to see the alligator ripping John Cena's arms and limbs. And you want to see the alligator swallow him and go, like it sees, like the bulge go down his neck into his stomach. Or maybe even the alligator goes, and burps out Cena and he gets thrown back into the ring. I'm telling you, I think this is going to be one of the best-selling WWE video games of all time.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like I said, let me check it out when it comes out in the fall.
So, obviously, everybody, that was your filler segment of the show tonight. We don't have too much to talk about. We'll talk about Raw a little bit. We'll talk about a couple other news tidbits. Again, coronavirus, not too much going on. Right now, the matches announced for Money in the Bank is McIntyre versus Rollins for the WWE Championship. Strowman versus Wyatt for the Universal title. And it's funny, if you look at the graphic WWE's advertising for that match, Kev, Braun Strowman is all serious and angry, and Bray Wyatt is the one smiling. Bray's supposed to be the heel, Braun's supposed to be the babyface, unless they're doing the switch. I don't know, but and you got Baszler versus Nia Jax versus Asuka, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and the winner between, Carmella and who's her opponent on Friday?
Carmella versus, Jesus Christ.
So someone in the chat, what was it? Carmella versus Mandy Rose. That's right, Mandy Rose. You look at that match. I don't know, man.
I don't know who's going to take that because they both seem about on even keel, but they're pushing Mandy now with Otis, so maybe Mandy will take that. Yeah,
on the men's side, we have I think Otis versus Ziggler with the last spot in the Money in the Bank. Personally, I think Otis is not getting in that Money in the Bank match. I think Ziggler needs to be rewarded.
That's not Otis's thing for something like that, but maybe they just to put him in something interesting because he is over and people will tune in more to see him. So maybe they'll find a way to get him in there.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, I said Sonya Deville cut the promo of her career, and then I said, and then what? Tell me what scenario where she would get that emotional, that detailed, again, ever. What is she going to do? She's going to bump into Naomi in the back. Naomi, since I was 19, blah, 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 blah. I don't see a scenario where she could get that passionate and detailed again. And you could see, since then, it's almost like, what do we do now? What do we do now? I think Sonya Deville needs to cost Otis this match Friday, and Dolph Ziggler advances to Money in the Bank.
Then she should have a first blood match with Mandy Rose. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like let have like a real hardcore. Like Sonya's got talent. They just don't know what to do with her. They stop start. Good promo. Then you're right. Then what? Now what? And that's again, our job can be in jeopardy for the next cut because if they don't know what to do with somebody, they let you go.
Joe Punches says being punched by me in the jaw is more thrilling than getting through Raw these days. Yeah, you got knocked the fuck out. In fact, you know what? I watched Friday yesterday again because the 25-year anniversary of that movie with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker and everything. You got knocked the fuck out.
It's awesome.
What an awesome movie, man. Zeus. John Witherspoon, I think his name is.
John, the father was.
Oh,
so
man.
the bathroom scenes, those bathroom.
Bernie
scenes.
Mac, a young Bernie Mac, man. Even Felicia, I never Googled it, but is Felicia was she black or was she white?
In that movie when they said,
by Felicia, the crackhead.
She's probably black.
Yeah,
she's not white.
I said this on Breakfast Soup yesterday, and by the way, if anyone who wants to check it out, yesterday Mission, I did 3.5 hours of Breakfast Soup on Patreon, patreon.com/Don Tony. And I said this yesterday, and I'm not saying that this has never been said before, but I did a Google search yesterday, and I really looked hard, and I did not find anybody ever bringing this up. And you might think that I'm way off on this, but as I was watching the movie yesterday, something reminded me of a thought that I had thought many, many years ago that just totally escaped my mind. And I know, again, I think a lot of people out there say, DT, I think you're just exaggerating, or maybe you're just stretching it, or your mind's wandering. But I felt back then, and I still feel that way now, that the beginning of Los Guerreros, Lie, Cheat, and Steal, when Eddie, God rest his soul, and Chavito were in the car with the hydraulics, and they would be cruising around the neighborhood. I watched that scene yesterday again, where Chris Tucker's in the back seat smoking angel dust, and you got the two Latinos sitting in the front with the car like Eddie would drive with, the hydraulics, and Chris Tucker even says, "Yo, ese," and I was thinking, I remember a long time ago saying, I bet you either Chavito, Eddie, or somebody in WWE got part of that idea from the movie Friday.
Probably, yeah, I'll probably say. Everybody's seen that movie. It registers with everyone. I mean, it's part of pop culture, that movie.
Yeah. Arn Larry, yeah, not every Mexican is in a lowrider as Eddie. I get that. But look at the time frame. Friday came out in 1995. It became a major hit. They came out with sequels, and there were certain scenes in the movie that became extremely infamous. And WWE at the time, Vince admitted it in interviews. They would bite off of Beavis and Butthead. They would bite off of other shows, outrageous stuff, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's what happened. I think they might have gotten part of that idea from that movie.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Of course, again, that movie registers with everybody because they want people to get those kind of hints, like where they say, "Oh yeah, that's probably where they got it from." I mean, again, all these, everything is taken from something, so you're probably not far off.
Yeah. Now, a few people are saying that Apollo Crews, WWE just announced that Apollo Crews is out of Money in the Bank. I honestly don't know if it's a storyline. I don't know if maybe he really did tweak his knee. I don't know. Some people are now saying that maybe Apollo Crews was never meant to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. That I tend not to believe because Apollo Crews is talented. Climbing the corporate ladder and showing what you got, that fits Apollo Crews perfectly. So I am not going to, unless they announce a replacement, or unless they announce that next week on Raw we're going to have a match to determine the replacement, I think it's a little too soon to tell. Maybe by the time the show's over in the next hour, we'll know. But as of right now, I think it's a little bit too soon to say.
I agree.
Yeah. So, trying to think. Oh, I wanted your opinion on this too. I think this is a nice little conversation, just random stuff to talk about this week. that, I think a lot of people out there, it'll be a nice, friendly debate with. But recently, last week, Eric Bischoff, Bully Ray, and Jim Ross were, I guess, having a difference of opinion online as far as who created the Attitude Era, who was responsible for the Attitude Era. And what happened was Eric Bischoff wrote, and I quote, "The Attitude Era was nothing more than a derivative of the NWO and the Nitro Era, which forced WWE to abandon their previous creative strategy and presentation and compete with a new formula." Bully Ray then says, Nitro and Attitude Era were nothing more than a derivative of the ECW era. ECW was the Napster of the wrestling business. Both companies may have gone out of business, but both companies revolutionized their respective industries. Fans still chant ECW. Jim Ross gives his 2 cents, and he says one simple sentence, and the catalyst for the Wild West feel of ECW was Mid-South Wrestling. So my question to you is,
who's right?
Who would you side with more than anything? Bischoff saying that the Attitude Era was because of the NWO and Nitro. Bully Ray says ECW. Jim Ross says Mid-South, which sparked ECW.
I mean, as a guy who was a big Mid-South fan and territory watcher in the 80s, I mean, when I saw ECW in 94 and then 95, it really started picking up steam. The difference was Mid-South had established stars there. It was it's a big difference. ECW had a lot of journeymen, also rans, build-up stars. Guys like Raven, who were coming off of, and managing the Quebecers, and then goes and becomes Raven. And it was interesting, the metamorphosis that wrestlers would do when they would go. Too Cold Scorpio leaves WCW with a shit tag team with Marcus Alexander Bagwell and goes to ECW and becomes legendary. So Shane Douglas, all these guys who were, cast aside from WCW, even some WWF guys, Al Snow. So ECW, I'm going to go with ECW. I'm going to go with, I hate to agree with Bully Ray on anything, but ECW started the whole thing, I think, when it came to Attitude, but they didn't have a name for it. It was just called Extreme. And that word Extreme, as you know, DT, was used to death throughout the 90s, not just in wrestling, but in everything was extreme.
Yeah.
So they started the Attitude, no doubt. They were the Napster. That's fair. I'll give him that credit. That's totally fair. But WWE put the gas behind it, the money, the means, top guys, Shawn Michaels, DX, Steve Austin, The Rock. Now, granted, The Rock was just a build-up star at that point, the beginning of the Attitude Era. Stone Cold was already getting hot by 96 into 97 is when he really blew up. But I'm going to say ECW, 94, 95, 96, they had it. The NWO, yeah, all right. But, again, they took that idea, DT, if we're talking shooting for real here, they took that idea off of Japan, didn't they, the NWO? Didn't Eric Bischoff get that from Japan? Everybody who does their homework. There's a lot of historians who listen to this show. You guys are probably saying, yeah, they copped that idea off of Japan. So I'm going to go with Bully Ray. I'm going to back ECW on that. They started the Attitude, just the fucking swagger and fucking guys just not giving a fuck, and the fucking extreme wrestling and almost PG-13, almost rated R television sometimes. I'll go with ECW, created it, and WWE was the one who put everything behind it and created monster stars. Now, let's be honest, ECW never had Rob Van Dam. You can't even compare to how big Steve Austin got. And as big as the NWO got, Hogan just turned heel. I mean, they used a WWF guy, a legend who was built up in WWF, and turned him bad guy. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall coming off of good runs in WWF. I'm going to go with ECW, and then WWF would be second. I'm sorry, I'm going to put WCW in last place.
Well, the reason why I don't agree with Bischoff is because NWO was not considered Attitude.
No.
It was like, taking over a company, and the storyline was unique for the United States. But Attitude and Invasion are two totally different, definitions to me. The reason why I agree with Bully Ray also and go with ECW is, although Jim Ross is correct, Mid-South, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, some of those promotions were doing wild shit before ECW started doing it. The difference is that WWF at the time when Mid-South was doing it, WWF didn't start going Attitude when Mid-South was doing it. Mid-South, if you say ECW might have gone that way because of Mid-South, yes, but it wasn't until ECW started to get a little bit of a buzz and an underground following, because, I remember I lived through it, and I was one of the fans. It started getting this underground following, and WWE started to take notice, and it wasn't just the type of matches or style, because we did have Eddie and Dean Malenko in ECW. You have Mysterio, Guerrera, Psychosis, La Parka, Conan. But the thing is that one thing you saw completely different about ECW that WWE didn't have and WCW didn't have is they didn't have fans that were just losing their fucking minds at a wrestling event. When someone would get put to a table, I invite anybody to go back and look. I remember this one guy in particular, a really thin guy with glasses, and he would be like, ECW. I mean, that energy. And I went to a lot of ECW events, and the heat and the sweat and the smell, but the energy was insane. I mean, I remember going to the Garden in the early 80s, well, mid 80s, and, there was an energy, there was a buzz, but the majority of the people there were older and they were cheering. They weren't getting families. Out of it.
Families.
Yeah, ECW is just a whole different animal. So I got to go with Bully Ray also. I'm curious what others think out there. By all means, on the feedback of the shows, by all means, let us know who you side with. And, totally respect whichever person you take side with. But
you could find the reason. You could find the reason for all three, DT, and four, including Mid-South.
Sure.
But ECW was, like you said, I didn't go. You did. You were more into it than I was. It was a movement. That was ECW was like a movement, almost like you could say like a trend. No, I think it was more than a trend. Some people say it was trendy. No, I think WCW, the NWO, was trendy. I think ECW was a movement. I think ECW was more grassroots. It was more legit. I think NWO, let's be honest, guys, we tuned in to see the stars. You tuned in to see Hogan be a bad guy. He had a crew of top guys. ECW didn't have any top guys, so to speak. They just gave different gimmicks to guys who were like journeymen and mid-carders and stuff, and then from there they created a movement. Who was Tommy Dreamer? He wasn't a household name back then. He became one. NWO already had established stars who just switched sides. So I think a trend was WCW, a movement was ECW, and then WWF capitalized on the whole thing and blew both out of the water because they had the money and the means to do so, and they had one guy, and his name was Steve Austin, and you can't compete with that.
Yeah, exactly. I want to shout out Bruce Couch, Jose Fuentes. Welcome to our Patreon, and welcome back, Sharon Pierce. Shout out our associate producers and sponsors in a moment. We're going to talk a little Raw. We'll get back to some other news tidbits in a few minutes. To me, today, WWE did the same pattern that they've done in previous weeks, and it's not just, the Zelina Vega show where, she's featured multiple times, but they open up the show with a long match for their standards, and then they fill it with loads of promos, very quick matches, and then around the second hour, they'll throw in a longer match again, and then you get, kind of caca towards the end, and then it leads to something else. Like last week, we opened up with a 12-minute match. Well, actually, let me say this a little differently. Last week, you had 7 matches that were 5 minutes or less. But once they opened up with the 12-minute match, the next match was a minute, then 3 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 3 minutes. Then you had a long 15-minute match, which was Mysterio and Buddy Murphy. Then you went back to the 2-minute, 4-minute, and 5-minute. This week, same thing. Opening match, 25 minutes. Then they go to the minute and a half, 2 minutes and 50 seconds, a minute 35. Then they go back to the longer match, which was Andrade and Apollo Crews, and there were significantly less matches this week. I don't know if people realize it. Last week we had like 11 matches. Today, I think we technically had 5, if I'm correct. And the Asuka, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler segment, there wasn't even a referee out there, so I don't even know what the fuck that was. But I'm curious. I don't know how you feel about it, but what's your thoughts of Tamina recently, especially with that video she did online, basically telling the fans, you don't like it, go fuck yourself. Yeah. And what do you think about Nia Jax, kind of like trolling the fans online as well? What do you think about those two women right now?
Well, we talked a little bit about that on Frank and Gus today. Shout out to Mission Joe, of course, a.k.a. Frank and Gus. Yeah, I saw the video, saw it last night when it was posted of her dancing, and this is what I think of when fans or what the haters come out or whatever. And it was funny, DT, I was noticing a lot of our listeners, friends, followers on Twitter, mine and yours, the shows alike, were on there trying to explain to her in a nice way that we don't hate you. We just don't like your attitude. Like, it was so funny. They were trying to diplomatically put it to Nia, and then Nia Jax's fans and her, diehards would get behind them. You don't get it, you idiots. She's being a heel. And I'm saying, no, you don't get it, moron. She's hurting people. That's not being a heel. She's being reckless. Again, there's some talk about smoke and mirrors, DT, about the difference of people thinking they understand the business and those who do understand the business. She's not protecting people. When she threw Kairi Sane into that corner, there was no protection at all. She just dropped her, threw her in there. The fact that Kairi Sane didn't get hurt is lucky. It's not, well, Kairi didn't get hurt, so that's why it's no big deal. Yeah, this time. But she's hurt other people. And I don't get what Nia Jax is trying to do, quite honestly, DT, but I also don't buy, and I talked about this today, that she is protected because she's related to The Rock, or The Rock's mom is her godmother. I don't buy that. She is, what she is the poster girl for plus-size women. She's an attractive woman, even though her attitude is not that great. She's, the WWE likes what they have in her as far as representing a certain type of woman. And she's that girl. She's that it girl for them. They don't have anybody else like her. Her whole theme, I'm not like most girls. That's listen to the song. Says itself. So it's not political that she keeps her job and that can't touch this girl because she's Rock's cousin. That's bullshit. Rock never gets involved in anything like that. He doesn't protect anybody. Did he protect Rosie or Umaga, who are related to him in an offshoot way? And by the way, I think she's his 4th cousin removed. So that's nonsense. I think it's just that she walks the red carpet for them. She's the bigger girl, the plus size girl. She appeals to certain people. I think when they come down on her, she makes like, oh, it's because I'm this or that. I think, I think she's a little disingenuous with her fans. People say it's an act that she's putting on. She's being an asshole on purpose, trying to draw heat as a heel. I just think she's kind of jerky, in my opinion. And it seemed like if you go and see the comments that followed, she had a lot more detractors than supporters on that thing she posted. Was she looking for that? I don't know what you're going to say, DT. I'm waiting, but was she looking to get that reaction, or does people just think she's a jerk?
What about Tamina?
Tamina seems like a nicer woman. I mean, people will say the same thing. Again, the cynical fans, I know, DT, you hate hearing stuff like this, but, oh, well, Vince covered for her dad. You saw the documentary. Vince that made the payoff for Jimmy Snuka. He kind of owes her a lifetime job. She's probably employed there because of the Snuka thing. Vince was guilty in the payoff, and it's just a payback to the Snuka family. People love the conspiracy theories. I don't know. Maybe Tamina's just a nice employee. They like her. She's pleasant. She's an older woman. She's a go-to girl when they need her. I'm not sure. I'm not back there. I don't work there. It's just, we talked about it today. Everything we say is opinions. I'm just giving you my opinion. But I think Tamina's got a nicer rep. Everybody says nice things about her. I don't know why they push a 43-year-old woman who, in all due respect, every time they bring Tamina back, I would think she'd tweak her gimmick or lose weight or change her image, but she just kind of comes back looking the same like she always does. Outside of doing the Superfly, which she does she even do that anymore, that move? I don't really know why they have her here, to be honest with you. Nia is 15 years younger, so I could see why Nia, but Tamina's almost in her mid-40s. So I'm not sure.
Well, Tamina, I tell you, that video that she put online, that she basically told the fans, go fuck yourself. Not exactly.
Nia, you mean?
But what?
Nia, you mean?
No, Tamina did a video.
Which one? When did Tamina do a video?
Yeah, Nia did a video dancing and stuff and like this, but not Tamina did a video also. She put like little flowers and graphics, and I tell you, I saw this video, and if I can't share it over here because I don't want to get flagged, but
maybe playing off of Nia.
No, well, I don't know, because Tamina's video came out before Nia's dance, but that video to me was like the most entertaining promo that I have ever remembered me enjoying of Tamina. And I instantly started thinking to myself, okay, the chances of her beating Bayley is slim to none. But I tell you, man, Tamina, if she put more of this stuff online and showed a little bit, I'll give you a good example of someone. I'm trying to remember who it was. There was a wrestler a couple of years ago. I don't think it was Titus O'Neil. So, someone will remember immediately because I talked about it a lot. And I remember the wrestler in WWE doing these videos online. And he had almost no personality on television. But he would do these videos online, hanging out with other WWE stars, and he would come off hysterically funny, charismatic, really, really likable. And I'm hoping somebody, no, I think it was somebody of color. For some reason, I'm thinking black. And I'm not saying it ain't controversial, but it's right on the cusp. Big E, thank you, Big E. Early on, Big E, and it's funny because you say it now and you're like, wait, Big E without a personality? Big E, you go back about 5 years, Big E just had no personality on TV. He had no charisma whatsoever. And yet we would watch these YouTube videos and he would make me laugh like you wouldn't believe. And this guy had so much charisma and so likable. And maybe a lot of it was because WWE didn't allow him to really expand or be himself a little bit. But they finally, did the New Day gimmick, and he started coming out of his shell. Even in the beginning, he would dance a little bit, but he really didn't have that. And then it was just like, Jesus Christ, it finally, echoed what he was doing on the videos to TV. And Tamina, I'm not comparing her to Big E, but Tamina, you watch this video, this is something that she can build on YouTube and show that personality that has really never been seen on television. And I'm telling you, Mish will be blown away by me saying this, but I have suddenly become a fan of Tamina. I actually want to see her go out winning a title at some point, winning something. I want to actually see it. I'm not kidding when I say that. Nia Jax, I was concerned about that attempted buckle bomb to Kairi Sane last week. And yes, there's been a couple of incidents in the past where she may have injured someone. I think all of this right now is what I said 2-3 weeks ago when she returned. Everything that is being done now is for one reason and one reason only. And that is she is going to feud with the person that some people think she created. When she bloodied Becky Lynch's face, and Becky Lynch had that bloody nose, and she stuck her hands out and looked up, and the man was born. So I think this is all to build up Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch. And to be honest with you, we don't know if Kairi Sane got injured. It looks like she's a little reckless in the ring. But, I posted something on Twitter that I wrote 2 years ago, and I just wrote Groundhog Day today. I've been a Nia fan for a while now. She's obviously, it's a little concerning with some of the moves, but if she's a massive heel, you can't, and I know this sounds fucked up, but you're not supposed to show compassion in the ring. If she screwed up the buckle bomb, I honestly think it must have really crushed her inside Like, oh my fucking God, did I just injure her? And they say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Go to the bank and hopefully she finds out she's okay. Thank God, thank God. I don't think Nia Jax is a bitch at heart. I think Nia Jax, I don't know her personally, but I think Nia Jax, to me, might be one of the nicer people out there. But because she's a big woman and because she is always, look, I have been heavy since high school. You know, I still got another 30, 40 pounds to lose, even though, you know, some people may not think so. Trust me, I do. But, you know, I posted very recently that picture of me when I was 365 pounds. I know what it's like to get made fun of repeatedly for years and years and years. And for her, you know, when you constantly get berated and poke fun at and this and that, I know they try to make it into a gimmick and, you know, she's a bigger woman, but, you know, I think some of that just might be, you know, the revenge for all the years that she was probably bullied. Well, I don't dislike Nia. I'm actually a fan of hers, and I don't want to see her injure anybody, but I actually root for her, and I actually would be cool with seeing her winning Money in the Bank.
Well, DT, let's be clear. And like I said, not just me, but even the people, and you could see a lot of our fans and followers are on that thread. No one there is attacking her for a weight, and has nothing to do with it. John Candy is one of the most beloved actors of all time. Everybody loved the man because he was pleasant and he was a nice guy. It has nothing to do with weight. You can be an asshole and be 135 pounds. It's nothing to do with that. Being reckless is being reckless. You know, it could be anybody. There was, you know, guys in great shape. Lex Luger was reckless. Some say the Ultimate Warrior was reckless in the ring. I mean, again, it's really nothing to do with cosmetics or anything like that.
I didn't say the character had to do with cosmetics.
No, but I'm just saying, so in case anybody's aware, there's no one even on that thread that I see attack her over weight, but maybe she's uber defensive because of that and thinks that maybe they are attacking her because she's a big girl or whatever. But she's the only one of her type, really. She's a lot even bigger than Tamina, not just in weight, in size and height. And she's an attractive woman to boot, so it's not like that she's some monster and we're trying to paint her as it's attitude, and it's kind of, you know, we're not sure what's a work and what's not. Unless someone has met her, maybe someone in the chat can say, well, I met her, had a pleasant experience. Okay, great. But again, we don't know her. You just said it yourself, I don't know her, I never met her. But again, just seeing some of the things she does, you question and say, she's just trying to be a jerk. Is she trying to get wrestling heat or just in a bad mood today? She's an interesting Twitter person because I don't really know where she's coming from sometimes. The Tamina thing I did see real quick, DT. I didn't see the whole thing. I saw some of it. Looks like she's mostly just kind of promoting herself for Money in the Bank, but it looks interesting. It's something, you're right, that I've never seen her do before, and they should play upon that if she has some personality there. I don't know how many takes that took to do that, but if she can do stuff like that, maybe, because she is a baby babyface. Remember, DT, she's going in as a babyface.
Yeah, well,
so I don't know why she cut like a heel promo on the fans.
Wait,
you know what I mean?
Nia is I don't think Nia.
No, Tamina.
Oh, Tamina. Yeah, I don't know, but you know, with the Nia stuff, you know, let me make this clear to everybody out there. You know, I'm a fan of Nia Jax, but I'm a bigger fan of Asuka, and I'm a bigger fan of Kairi Sane, and I'm a bigger fan of some of the other women on the roster. You know, I can like multiple people. All I'm saying is that, you know, I don't think, you know, the injuring people is intentional. And we don't know if Kairi Sane got injured. Yes, it looks sloppy. I hate to break it to people, but over the years, there have been wrestlers that we have been fans of that was a little bit reckless and sloppy in the ring. I got news for you. I remember doing my wrestling hotline in the late 90s with Matt Zombie and Brian Damage, and we used to talk about how a lot of wrestlers used to complain about Mark Henry. And, you know, sometimes you get potatoed, or Vader would potato people, or even Rob Van Dam early on, there would be errant kicks. Even to a certain extent, there were other wrestlers who would inadvertently...
Vader.
Yeah. So Ahmed Johnson is another one. You know, it's just that in this case, it's someone that a lot of people dislike. I don't give Nia a pass for the sloppiness. The sloppiness has to be addressed, and the sloppiness needs to, my honest opinion, a lot of the Nia stuff when she's errant, that could be fixed simply by not doing the fucking bunker bomb again, not doing certain things. if something, it comes off a little sloppy, you don't do that again for the foreseeable future. Just like Seth Rollins when he injured Sting. I mean, Seth Rollins, there was more than one time. John Cena with the nose that looked like this. I mean, I don't remember people, some people were complaining of Seth Rollins, but it wasn't intentional. Cena said, look, it was an accident. Sting, it was an accident. A lot of people knew Seth Rollins is a talented motherfucker. But sometimes things happen. Now, I'm not comparing Nia's ability to Seth Rollins' ability, but, when it's a wrestler you like that might have an errant move here and there and somebody, looks a little scary, you kind of like brush it off a little bit. But if it's someone you don't like, then it's like off with their heads. And that's totally understandable. But again, I'm a fan of Nia's. I think Nia's versus Ronda Rousey was one of the better matches that I have seen in recent years on the WWE level. Let's make that clear. But, I don't think she's this, absolutely worthless person that should be let go. I don't think it's that extreme. I mean, and I don't like comparing ineptness with other ineptness because, some people who got released are like, oh, you keep Dana Brooke, but you let this person go. Oh, you keep this person. You can't look at it like that. I don't think Nia is as bad. And plus, when you have someone that big, like you said, it's a rarity. Bertha Faye, Awesome Kong, those are rarities to have someone huge like that could actually move around. So, I think she's got to tighten up some of her repertoire. She's got to avoid some of the moves that might be a little risky. But I have never, unless you know one, nobody comes to mind. I have never recall any woman, even women that are no longer employed by WWE that's ever said that Nia Jax, not only is she reckless, but she doesn't care. She doesn't give a shit. I just, I don't believe that that's the case.
We'll wait for someone to we'll wait for someone who's released and can speak openly on a shoot interview. I mean, look, Nia Jax is not one of my favorites. Let me make this clear, but I am a fan of hers. And, I'd rather see somebody of that size, give me the suspension of disbelief that person should squash someone. Now, I don't like, what they did with her and Kairi Sane and the stuff tonight with Asuka and Shayna Baszler. When we heard the three-way, I know a lot of people are out there like, okay, how's this clusterfuck going to end? Because they're all in the ladder match, But to me, I think, let's see what happens. But it would not surprise me if Nia wins that and she cashes in to take on Becky Lynch. Or WWE goes the lazy route. Someone else gets the briefcase and Nia still challenges Becky Lynch for the title. Exactly.
So I guess we could stay on the Raw topic since we just talked about Nia and Shayna Baszler and Asuka, which really was nothing. She just tossed them around and there was never a match. But Lashley, is this the beginning of the end pretty much of Lashley and Lana as a couple? I mean, they've been building this for a while, but Lashley doesn't want Lana out there anymore because she's a distraction.
Yeah, their marriage is probably not going to make it, So I'm surprised Lana stayed with her husband getting released. I know she signed a new deal and everything, but she can always abandon that deal unless they have real plans for her. I don't know if Lashley's turning babyface. I'm not sure. I mean, but again, beats this Denzel guy. It was really nothing to see there. Another doldrum match on Raw.
Yeah, you know what? There's a good point that somebody pointed out since we're talking about Raw as well. Dalvin says that Becky is not on TV and no one says a peep. Brock doesn't show up and everybody rips WWE for it. And it's funny because Vince in the conference call last week, blamed some of Raw's decline on Brock. They no longer have Brock. That's how he kind of said it. He's still under contract, but with the coronavirus, I guess he's staying home. Yeah. But you see, Brock is not there. And yet, when you watch the beginning of Raw, the intro, who's the first person you see pretty much? Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, tonight the first person we saw was MVP. So that's not
Well, I mean
good.
the opening intro when they have the
yeah.
opening music and
Not
everything
good.
like that. And
But the opening segment, obviously.
yeah. The opening credits. So, but, here's another good question talking about the women in the WWE. T. Smitty 3000. How high could you see Bianca Belair in the women's division? And, how do you think the WWE will utilize her for the rest of the year?
Bianca Belair. I like her. I mean, I think she's kind of polarizing. It seems like anybody I talk to about her is either passionately against her or likes her. She's got a real split down the middle thing going amongst the fans. Even the diehard NXT is like, I can't fucking stand her. And then there's other people like, oh, she's one of the best. I personally like her. I like her. I'm not a big thing of the hair thing. I'm not big on that hair thing. I hope that gets cut and gone because she's got talent. She's definitely the strongest, strongest woman in the company, in my opinion. I'm sure she can get Nia Jax up in a finisher like that. She's just a buff chick who's super athletic. I mean, I've seen her workouts. I mean, she's just amazing. And I think she's got a good attitude. Promo's not bad. She's got the swagger. She's got the attitude. The hair just makes her stand out, I guess, but she doesn't need that. She doesn't need that hair thing. I get it's her gimmick, but I hope that's not for life. I hope down the road she changes that. She doesn't need it. I like her. I think she could be the future champion if they give her a push. But I'm kind of big on Bianca Belair. I think she can go. I think she can go as far as they'll let her. And Lord knows her husband Montez is a future star himself. So they could be a real power couple in the WWE if they get the right push. Because you could say, well, look what happened to Lana and Rusev. Let's not even compare the two. Lana's not a wrestler at all. She's barely a dancer or an actress. Bianca Belair is the real deal, athletically, wrestler-wise. Montez Ford is a future star. Even tonight, I was impressed with him being serious in his promo tonight, which it looks like. And eventually, I think they're going to turn him heel. And you're looking at two future stars in Montez and his wife, Bianca. Equally, they will do just fine. I think they're, talk about the future of this company. Those two are in the conversation.
I tell you, with the Viking Raiders today, last week, they're doing carpool karaoke, eating ham and, just looking like goofs. And then this week, they're all angry and they want the smoke. They want smoked ham. I don't know, are they now suddenly heels again? I mean, I don't know what this was. What was the purpose of last week? I'm
not sure.
I
don't know what they're doing there. I'm not sure what the point is with which team's the baby face, which is the heel team. Not even sure.
I could, if they would have opened the segment today, like being a little bit lighthearted, and then all of a sudden get serious, and try to say don't judge a book by its cover, as far as don't mistaken us. It just. Last week, and again, this is what happens when you just throw shit together. Last week, they're goofs in the car, and everybody's like, the hell are you doing to the Viking Raiders? And then this week, look, I brought this up Friday, and I hope everybody understands this. In the past, a lot of people in WWE, and some other wrestling companies as well, but mostly WWE, have said they view social media and the outspoken on Twitter and Facebook as a very tiny percentage of the overall fan base. And they say there's always that tiny outspoken group. Well, up until coronavirus, you had that outspoken group on social media that were very vocal about the product. But you could judge fan reaction and who's over and who's not by the live crowds that were there. So now with no live crowds, you have to depend solely, almost solely on the feedback you get online. So now that very tiny group of people that you always wrote off as, the tiny small part of the WWE universe, now you really have to pay attention, because if you put them aside, the only other way to determine is to look at the ratings and look at the quarterly hour breakdowns and see, holy shit, this match, we lost 300,000 viewers. because I don't have the breakdown in front of me. But if you look at the breakdown last week and a week before of some of the crowd, the ratings going up significantly and going down significantly, that's a problem. I feel like they must have saw how much lashback online last week for the Viking Raiders car karaoke that they said, you know what, fuck that. Get rid of it quickly for now. Yeah. And now all of a sudden they're serious.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I think the two teams, the two of the better teams that they have, but I'm not sure who the babyface team. I think the Street Profits are the good guys, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought the War Raiders were, Viking Raiders, because they had teamed up in that battle to go against Rollins and his crew a month and a half ago, 2 months pre-coronavirus, helping Kevin Owens. So I thought the War Viking Raiders, I keep getting the name wrong. They were good guys, weren't they? And when did they turn heel? Or is this just a battle of let the fans decide who the baby faces are here?
Well, the fan, like I just said, they could only pull what they see online. I mean, that's really the only way they could do it. I think right now, that is the most visible, well-known tag team on the WWE roster on Raw that they could put up against the Street Profits. They just let go Gallows and Anderson. They can't go up against them. They couldn't. They didn't move Ryder and Hawkins to Raw to maybe face them, so they released them. So you look at tag teams. I'm sorry, Shane Thorne or whatever the fuck their names are, Brandon Vink. Who care? They come out and they challenge for the title. I mean, you could have possibly Garza in theory, but they did that. Sort of. So I think just right now that tag team division on Raw is so thin, especially with this virus going on, that they realize we got to put the Viking Raiders up against the Street Profits, and we can't have two teams goofing around. You have Viking Raiders last week being goofy, and then today you have the Street Profits getting serious.
Yeah, and again, I like the Street Profits being more serious. Out of the two teams, I personally like the Street Profits better. I just think they have more upside than from a promotion, selling merch and stuff like that. If I'm, running the company, or I'm a booker, I'm Heyman, I'm pushing Street Profits over Raiders.
Yeah. Liv Morgan beating Ruby Riott 2 weeks in a row under 3 minutes.
Yeah, people hitting me up, go, dude, your girl, what's going on? Ruby Riott, who I'm a big fan of, everybody knows since day one. I don't know. I say, listen, a lot of people look at Apollo Crews. He was a job guy for 3 years. Now he's in the spotlight again. They can pick her up at any time. Yeah, temporarily, I know. But Ruby Riott doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean she's next on the cut list. It could. I don't know. Hope not. They're like, Kev, she's never going to get anywhere. She's not blonde. McMahon's never going to push her. She's all tattooed up. She's just an oddity, almost like a Luna. They never went all the way with her either back in the day. Ruby only gets so far because of her aesthetic, her look. It's a particular look, and Vince ain't going to push her. Yeah, but isn't Heyman in charge? Doesn't Heyman push people like that? Look at, his track record. So I don't buy that. I don't buy that, Liv's blonde and pretty, and she's going to get the push. Look at Lacey Evans. That's what they do. Yeah, it appears to be that way, but I'm not giving up hope on her. I still love Ruby Riott, but I will say Ruby hasn't been on her game that much since she's been back from double shoulder surgery. I don't know. She, some people come back with a fire, and I'm not. Again, I don't know her. I'm just going by what I see. Even her interviews are kind of like with Charlie Caruso, like, Liv is getting better in the ring. I got to put Liv over actually, and unfortunately, put down Ruby a little bit, but not to any degree of over the top criticism of Ruby. But Liv is probably the hotter one right now to push, not physically, but her moveset, she's better in the ring. They're just going with the hot hand right now, and unfortunately Ruby's got to find her fire again, I think. And maybe, listen, she knows she's losing every week on TV. Maybe she's not into it, and there's nobody there who's she playing off of. Then again, the Riott Squad weren't exactly getting big crowd reactions, DT. So, but Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan's the hotter ticket right now, and they're going with it. And unfortunately, Ruby's just got to find herself, or maybe find a tag team partner and go after tag team titles or something. Something's got to give for Ruby Riott. She just doesn't look very motivated right now.
I look at it like this. She's back. They brought her in slowly.
Yeah.
And she is helping one of her closest friends get over. I don't think Ruby Riott's stock has dropped at all in WWE. Right now, it is not her time. And even though she lost the last 2 weeks,
well, she loses in general, DT. To be honest, she lost to Asuka 3 weeks ago. She loses in general.
Yeah, but they're bringing her in slowly. And, you know, to me, look, Asuka lost to Carmella multiple times, and, that's an extreme because Asuka had that tremendous streak in NXT. But the point is that Ruby Riott is one of the most talented women there. Her look is not, to my liking. I totally respect it, but she is extremely talented. They put her in the Elimination Chamber main event, which, of course, that didn't go out well overall, the match. But to me right now, it just feels like, look, Ruby Riott is all the way up here. Liv Morgan is all the way down here. And we just, she's still feeling the damage from those hype videos of her in the hotel in the bathtub. We all thought that she was going to cut her hair and do all this stuff and have a major character change. And the only thing she really did was change her clothes and get rid of the blue tongue. I mean, but yeah, but the thing is that now they need to elevate Liv Morgan. And I think the most ideal woman to help elevate Liv Morgan is Ruby Riott. Name me one other person. And I know some people may say Natty, but, it's not like Natty and Liv Morgan were friends over the years and they're having a little... No, Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott have the Riott Squad connection. So they look out for each other. They fucking tattooed themselves because of the bond. Yeah. I mean, who else would you not want to help more than one of your best friends? So I see nothing wrong with Ruby Riott. For Ruby Riott fans, it's a little frustrating that she can't buy a win right now, but right now it's just not her time. I see nothing wrong with Ruby Riott right now. Right now,
so no long-term damage from her losing all the time because again, everyone goes through this and she could bounce back.
No,
well, Becky Lynch a couple of years ago lost a lot. 3 years ago, Becky Lynch was losing every week.
Look, I brought up a couple of years ago. If you looked at Bayley versus Charlotte, I think Bayley had almost every win against Charlotte. Maybe going back to NXT, I don't remember the actual numbers, but. There are some people that, they go through some streaks. I mean, there's been wrestlers over the years where they turned it into a storyline. And you know what? I would not doubt that WWE turns Ruby Riott's losing streak into a storyline. They did that with Ziggler, and Ziggler won a belt shortly thereafter. They did that with, I don't know if it was Swagger, but they have done storylines many times over the years of a wrestler having a rut. And I don't think Ruby Riott loses any stock right now. She is helping bring her friend to the next level. And the good thing about it is Liv Morgan, as you said, Liv Morgan has been impressive. And, I've said this a couple of times already. To me, Liv Morgan, greater than Alexa Bliss. I think Liv Morgan is more talented in the ring than Alexa Bliss. So
okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Jinder Mahal makes his return. He squashes Tozawa in 90 seconds. I'm
Looking
glad.
Skinnier though, don't you think? DT, did you notice the physical, lot more thinner, less muscle mass for Jinder Mahal?
Yeah, he's toned down a little bit. Cut his hair. I definitely think we're going to see Mahal and McIntyre go out. They might have a little backstage, like they'll bump into each other and they'll show appreciation for each other. And then Mahal will look at that belt, and Mahal wants that belt, and they're two physical specimens. So that is destined, not even just the 3MB stuff, that is destined to be a match, and that's going to happen sooner than later.
Well, they have the history with each other, so there you go.
Yeah. The opening match was the 6-man that we talked about earlier that was really pointless. It was a okay match. But you had Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Apollo Crews beat Andrade, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory, teasing a little, dissension or a little frustration in the Zelina Vega camp. I think that was kind of expected by a lot of people out there. Oh, yeah. Then this led to Apollo Crews getting the title shot tonight. I don't think anybody out there really thought Crews was going to win the belt because he was supposed to be in the Money in the Bank line match. But he loses due to referee stoppage because of the knee. And right now we just have to wait and see. I think if Crews is really out of Money in the Bank, WWE has to announce in the next day or two a match between two people to take Apollo Crews' spot in Money in the Bank. Maybe it's Austin Theory versus Angel Garza.
Oh, you think they can wind up having those two go against each other? Yeah.
Could be. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I mean, right now, I think it's sympathy knee. I think the knee is just to, get a little more sympathy on Apollo Crews. He was in Money in the Bank, so they got to put attention to him. They got to give that suspension of disbelief that he could actually win this thing if he's still in it. So we'll see. So next, we had Ricochet, Cedric Alexander. That's a tag team that I'm liking. I know we've talked about it before, but they do click. It just sucks some of their opponents. And this week we got Chase Parker and Matt Martell.
It reminds me of like 80s job guys. I mean, who knows? Like some of these guys could be future somebodies. Like, job guy today could be a star 5 years from now. Yeah. But again, they're just filler, DT, just filling space. And then we talked about it. They cut the MVP. We got a lot of TV time tonight. And he has a new tag team, Thorne and Vic. And again, just filling time and giving Cedric and Ricochet something to do. And they'll battle next week, I believe, right? Next week they'll battle?
I think so. Okay. What do we got next week also? There was another match they announced for next week. Drawing a blank. It's the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits.
Yeah, for the belts, right?
Yeah. By the way, for those that were wondering who the referee was, the female black referee that was in the match for Bobby Lashley, that is Aja Smith. And some of you may remember on Wednesday Night Dynamite a couple of months ago, I went through all the signees that WWE signed to NXT or to the school, the Performance Center, and that is her. So for anybody that was wondering who the referee was. So, she's not bad. I've actually seen a little bit of her work, and it was good to see her on TV. It was good to see. Quick match, didn't need to do too much, and that's pretty much the right way to go.
Great.
So then we had I don't even know how to
after Cedric and Ricochet.
Well, no, that match was decent. I mean, 4 minutes, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. I mean, they really, they're too soon for a title shot, but they definitely, I see them having tag team gold in the near future. But, we had Triple H segments all throughout the night. We'll talk about Triple H in a second. But just to close out Raw, we had the autograph signing. Contract signing.
Autograph
Contract signing. I had autograph signings on the brain before. The contract signing with McIntyre and Rollins. Rollins with the dapper suit, looking good. And, it leads to the typical brawl. Now, early on, some people were wondering, what happened to Jerry Lawler? And, I will read his defense of using the ramen noodle moonsault in a moment. But for those who are wondering, what happened to Jerry, you saw him later on tonight. They used Samoa Joe on commentary with Phillips and Saxton. But at the very end for the contract signing, they had Jerry Lawler come out to give it a little bit more prestige, a legendary name to be there for the contract signing. So it leads to the brawl. Buddy Murphy comes out, ends up getting hit, hopefully we don't get Buddy Murphy versus Drew McIntyre next week.
No. God.
So I'm kind of fearing that that's what we're gonna see, but that's how they go off the air. Drew McIntyre is standing tall, which is a little bit surprising going into, the pay-per-view is 2 weeks from now. Some people think it's only 1 week. It's a week from Sunday, which is technically 13 days. But, all right, Murphy, not Buddy Murphy, Murphy. So they're going to give him the Buddy name back. You watch. Murphy.
Probably.
Murphy what? Like I said, remember Ali? They got rid of Mustafa, and they're just going to call him Ali. And then the fucking announcer, the way he announces him, it sounds like two names anyway. Lee! If you were a blind person and never watched wrestling before, you would have thought a Japanese person was in the ring. Who's this Lee in the ring? And then they gave him Mustafa back.
AHHLEE. Lee.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Lee. Lee. So what'd you think of the contract signing?
I was falling asleep. I couldn't wait till I got on early on the waiting till you clicked on, because I just got on the headphones and got on because I was really starting to put me out. I'm like, I better get to the desk, because I'm like, it was boring. It really was. Both guys. Drew tries. God love him. He's trying to be the champion and be the face of this company. Seth was just being drone, and this is gimmick now, the Messiah. They were just, these two guys are not going to keep you. There's no Rock and Austin here, or no CM Punk and CM Punk and John Cena going back and forth here. I mean, my God, Edge and Randy Orton did a better back and forth. These two guys are not those guys to close out. I mean, listen, it's the top. He's the champ. You should close out the night with the champ. But now with this segment, they had the little schmaz where Buddy Murphy came in. Actually, Murphy came in. Then he got the I was going to call it the Corona kick. What is it called? The Claymore kick. The Claymore kick, not the Corona kick. And again, that went off, with a popcorn fart off the air. I couldn't wait to get on the show, because there was no reason. I just tuned out, and it was over anyway. So yeah, they didn't close out a very, very, very weak Raw tonight overall.
Yeah. I right now, I don't think there's any chance that Rollins beats McIntyre for the title, but I mentioned this before, and I'll say it again now. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that Drew McIntyre will never defend that belt in front of a live crowd.
You think so?
Yeah. I look, he was my pick for the Royal Rumble. I was ecstatic that he got it. I loved the pop that he got. And I really, at the time, hoped that Brock would retain the belt in Mania, wait a bunch of months, McIntyre wins the belt in front of a live crowd. That connection, that pop, that's been missing for a while. I don't know anybody else on the Raw roster right now that replaces that. And I think by the time we get live crowds, because of the sinking ratings, and it's not his fault, my God, I just had a revelation. Could you imagine WWE starts saying that the reason why the Raw ratings are getting even worse is because Becky is not on? They may actually try to play it off that Becky Lynch not being on right now is the reason for the ratings going down even more, which is that pisses me off, because, again, if she doesn't want to compete, I mean, she interacts, she does interviews, why doesn't somebody say, how come she hasn't wrestled on Raw in 3 months?
Oh, you're saying it now, and if that picks up any steam, sometimes certain things, whether it's our podcast, other podcasts, to spotlight something, it gets a little steam. I think it's just certain things get overlooked, DT. Certain things just get overlooked because other people get bigger looks. But she's the man. Like you said, she's one of the top people there. Closed out a show weeks ago with Austin, drinking beer. She's that girl. To me, she's not. I think this is a bunch of bullshit. I don't think she's remotely as popular as they pretend she is. I think this has been a bunch of bullshit, especially the last bunch of months. And I get a lot less press back on me saying that than I got a year ago, which I got mad heat for that. But now people are like, yeah, I kind of agree with you, Kev. I'm sick of Becky myself. But I will enjoy a Nia Jax feud with her, but she's got to appear more on television. Again, if Seth is appearing, it can't possibly be the COVID thing. I got to stay home. Seth is going back to her at home. They live together. So what if he's in danger? She's in. So I don't get that. So I don't buy that. Are they trying to keep her? She's such a hot ticket. Keep her off of TV. But isn't this a time now for her to step up? I mean, again, for God's sakes, they had Austin appear a few weeks ago. Just to have him out there. I mean, he showed up and he's not even working for the company. Becky Lynch should be here. If Drew McIntyre is here, she should be here. You're saying she's bigger and more important than Drew and more important than Seth? She should be here. If she's the man, then be here. Show up at work.
I showed love to Nia Jax earlier. Not too much, but some. I totally forgot one thing tonight. When she did that backstage interview with Charlie Caruso, I thought that was great.
That was good. I'll give it that. When she yelled at Charlie.
Yeah, she's like,
that was good.
What is Oscar going to do about it? Nothing. Or what are you going to do about it? Nothing. And then she's like, nothing! And that was funny. Like, Angel Garza, is still, hitting on Charlie Caruso and Charlie melting like butter and he gives it a rose and I want to see where that goes.
You think they'll utilize it kind of like the way they did? Remember that time? Who was courting Lillian Garcia? Big Daddy V?
Oh, yeah, Viscera. Sure.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah. That was a rib on.
It was, but I wonder if they're going to go further with this and incorporate that. Charlie's never been involved in a angle before.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened over the years. They put Lillian in a little bit of a storyline. I talked about it with the match with the Fink a week or two ago. I talked about it, and sometimes you'll have a non-wrestler and they put in a storyline. Now, with the Charlie Caruso thing, it's interesting. she's gorgeous. I mean, she's, to me, the most attractive woman on that roster, in my opinion. But, we'll see where this goes. But, talking about Drew McIntyre, may never defend that title in front of a live crowd. I thought of two things. I talked about it on Patreon yesterday with Mish, and two ideas that I wanted to share with everybody out there because I think they're damn good ideas. If everybody out there is aware of what the scientists said last week about the virus, that if you're indoors, 70 degrees, 20% humidity, the virus could its half-life is 18 hours, which means that if you have, let's say, 100,000 organisms on your desk, in 18 hours, it goes down to 50,000. It's half-life. Then in 18 hours. But if you have that same 70 degrees with the humidity and you go outside, that half-life of the virus is only like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So sunlight, ultraviolet rays, and humidity and heat is like some of the biggest ingredients to kill this virus. Good. So I was thinking WWE, AEW, indie feds, I will make a prediction. You will see wrestling events this year, a lot more events taking place outside than inside because heat, humidity, outside, those are all ingredients that if somebody sneezes, and you're not near anybody, there's a good chance that virus will be dead in a few minutes. So started thinking about it.
It's not a bad theory.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Two things. Number one, I think WWE or AEW should consider having an event in some area, and then you almost have like a drive-in, like a drive-in theater. We talked about it yesterday, that you have everybody come up with their cars, everybody sitting inside their cars. You could have the people come up with the concessions, just like a drive-in movie theater, but instead, it's almost like old school 80s when we used to go to the Felt Forum to see WWF or WrestleMania 1. People went to movie theaters to see WrestleMania 1. So this, you can have a wrestling event and you have it almost like a drive-in where people could pull up with their cars. The ring is around there and you still hear crowd reaction. Their windows will be down. I mean, hopefully everybody keeps their engines off so, you don't have carbon monoxide. But the second idea was this. Someone asked me, like, what do I think will happen when they start having live crowds in buildings again? Because you got to keep some distance with people. So I thought of an idea that I haven't seen anybody write yet. What I think would be an awesome idea is, let's say AEW is going to go to a state that allows crowds to come back. Not now, but maybe a couple of months from now, or WWE. What you do is you set up like Ticketmaster or one of these ticket outlets, and what happens is that if you select, let's say, 2 tickets, you want to go with your girlfriend. When you go on Ticketmaster and you want to buy 2 tickets to see WWE wherever, when you select 2 tickets, it actually selects 6. And what that means is that if I buy 2 tickets, the 2 seats to the right of me, the 2 seats to the left of me, or even if you want to put 1 seat to the right of me and 1 seat to the left of me, are taken. So if I buy 2 tickets, technically I have 4. I'm only paying for 2, but I have 4 tickets because the seat to the left of me is automatically taken too, and the seat to the right of me is automatically taken. And that's how you keep your distance. So you could be together with whoever you go with, maximum maybe 4. But when you buy 2 tickets, it automatically selects 4. You buy 4 tickets, it automatically selects 6. Because the seat to the left of you and the seat to
like I said, is a happy medium for people to go back and see shows and stuff. I mean, who knows, day to day, week to week, who knows what's going to happen, but that's not bad. If the virus, in fact, can be killed or is much lessened in the heat and humidity, they're saying it does, but it's to be determined. We're still, well, tomorrow it's going to be 60 degrees here in New York. It's been in the 40s and 50s, so obviously we're still in the midst of spring. But if the summer that comes about, you're right, and they should probably give it a whirl and see how it goes, and then hopefully next year at this time there'll be a vaccine. I mean, we can all just hope for the. I'm wishful thinking. I have to. My career depends.
The vaccine's going to be this year.
I hope so. Like I said, my career depends on it, so I can't be a pessimist, guys. Before anybody goes, okay, what if it's 2 years? I hope that it's not. I have to think that way. I got to be positive.
I bet you AEW's first event back in front of a live crowd is going to be outdoors. I'll make that prediction.
I mean, I think, I swear to God, I think, again, even as podcasters, listen, we're thankful that wrestling is having, you have your Wednesday show and stuff. There's new shows to talk about. We have content for you guys to hear. We're an escape for a lot of you guys. And it's great for us podcasters. It's great, but Lord knows, I mean, you too, DT, even for your business and get things back to some normality. I think I'm going to break down and cry the first time I see a wrestling event scheduled with people going to it and buying tickets. I mean, It's going to be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like people even say, when you really think about it, it's a month and a half this has been going on. Doesn't it seem like 4 or 5 months? Yes, it does. Doesn't it seem a lot longer, DT, than 6 weeks?
Yeah.
It does. It really does. But I like your idea. I think that's good. And I hope they're examining things like this, and I hope these things are being kicked around.
I think the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to feel longer because I compare it to getting married is extreme, but I compare it to going to your prom, graduation day, getting married, going on the first date, going to a party, going on vacation. When you have a set date that you're going to do something, when it's 2 months away, 3 months away, it still feels like a very long time. When you get down to like the last 2 or 3 weeks, you're counting down the days and you're thinking about it more and you're thinking about it more. And that last week seems like an eternity. And that's what's going to happen. The 6 weeks to me have kind of flew by rather quickly. It's still unpleasant, but I think, if we're a month away from, I know some states are already going back to some normalcy to a certain extent, but in our neck of the woods, it's got to be another month or 2. But I think
at least all of May.
But I said this on Wednesday show 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said, remember the term state jumping. Because would not surprise me if WWE or AEW go to a different state because the rules are lax. Now, AEW is going back to Florida. I don't necessarily consider that, state jumping because they were there already before. But, would not surprise me, and I mentioned this yesterday too, that if WWE sees a state that has no more deaths with coronavirus. Would not surprise me that WWE's return might be in a state that they don't normally go to. And I think there'll probably be, like online protests about it and this and that. Like our state has got very little coronavirus. We don't want these people coming in from different states. I'm telling you, I think that's on the horizon. King of Swanstyle, that's a good point. Adam Cole, last year he was my wrestler of the year. The way he pulled, just led NXT throughout Survivor Series and everything else, that guy to me was wrestler of the year last year, and doesn't feel like they have done all that much this year with him.
No.
Doesn't.
Nope.
So, and, I know that he was supposed to, have a little program with Velveteen Dream. To everybody who's asking, Coffee Brooklyn and others, we don't know what the outcome is yet with Velveteen Dream. On Friday.
Nothing said today.
Yeah, no. On Friday, I did a rant, about 30 minutes. I was going to do a video today. I decided not to because I want to give it another day or two to see if anything comes out. Plus, to be honest with everybody out there, I am trying to see if this person really filed a police report. Yup. People know why I say that. Because me, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And it doesn't pass the smell test for me. Now, another video has come out. I'll share with everybody probably Wednesday, since he is part of NXT, and Wednesday show covers NXT. And again, I'm a little bit concerned because the person who claimed that Dream did all this, the videos do not show any, sexually explicit conversation. The photo that leaked out was a screenshot, not a video screenshot. They were video screenshotting and recording everything. But when it came down to what is being accused, there's no video whatsoever. It's just a screenshot. Plus, there's no screenshot of him asking for nudes or anything like that. And what disturbed me the most was that morning, whatever morning it was, Wednesday morning, when that morning came out that happened overnight, those people that were supposedly involved said, we don't know if it was him or if he was hacked. So a couple of hours later, he goes public and he says that he didn't do this. Yeah. And if you look at it closely, it looks like when he made that denial, those people who originally said they didn't know if it was him or he got hacked, they got angry. And all of a sudden, police report filed. Yup. So it doesn't pass the smell test. And then the teenage kid, the 16-year-old, got caught being in a forum that's called Fuck Ends. I'm not going to say the word. And then he deleted his Twitter account after he got revealed, and just something does not pass the smell test to me. Should Velveteen Dream have been chatting with teenagers? I know his original idea, hey, I'm opening up my DMs on Instagram and socialize with fans. Okay, that's a cool thing on paper. But when it's 3:30 in the morning and somebody tells you they're 16, you immediately end the conversation there. I know somebody got blocked on Instagram or Snapchat, whatever it was, and it feels like once that person got blocked, these accusations came out, and it almost felt like it's revenge and I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think these young people that were making these accusations, I don't think they really realized, or thought it through. If it was bullshit, I don't think they thought it through and realized forensics and even little things. And even somebody who pointed out, you look at the screenshot, you blow it up. If you blow it up, anybody out there that's ever photoshopped something, you cut something and you paste it on a photo, if the pixels are not exactly the same, if you zoom in enough, you'll actually see a pixelated outline of what you pasted. And that's just, that's just the Photoshop 101. And when you started zooming in on these photos, the only thing that repeatedly kept showing his pixel was his name. And it looked like somebody pixelate. I'm talking about on the photo and stuff. I don't know what's true. I don't know what the facts are. All I know is that WWE has not made a statement. And especially in this day and age, the fact that they have not made a statement yet, not even that, Velveteen Dream is Peter Clark is whatever his name is responsible for his own actions. You have seen him say nothing. So I don't even think right now they even put any credence in this. I think this was social media, rightfully so, thinking that an adult was now, acting like a pedophile towards kids. And then the immediate reaction is, motherfucker should be in jail, fired, everything like that. But when days go by, 1, 2, 3, 4 days go by, even if this kid filed a police report and then says, nah, take it back. Like what was your phrase? You can't cancel 911?
Yeah. Especially
when an adult sends a nude picture to a child. So the kid could tell the cops, no, my bad. Yeah, I don't want to press charges, The cops are still going to arrest him for it. So the fact that nothing has transpired Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, there's no record of a police report filed in Canada where that kid lived. There's no police report filed in Florida where I think Dream is. There's no police report filed in Washington where supposedly that phone number area code came from. And this is 3-4 days later, and those sheriff websites already have their files updated as of, I think, yesterday. It does not pass the smell test. But I figured wait a few more days, and we'll see if it ends up turning into an Enzo or it turns into a James Ellsworth. But right now, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm not buying it either. I agree with you, DT. There's been no traction on the story today at all. This would have blown up a lot bigger especially over the weekend and into Monday. And then some people are like, oh, maybe they're gathering evidence. Like, nah, shit would have leaked out. I don't think this has any legs to it at all. And if these people made it up, these kids, regardless of how old they are, they should be held to the level of the law and really put your feet to the fire. Fuck this young
Great balls of fire.
Yeah, fuck this young and innocent stuff. When I was 15, 16, I knew exactly what I was doing. I didn't fall back on any of that stuff. My father would laugh in my face if I told him I didn't know right from wrong. When it came to trying to frame somebody, which I would, never do because it's a pretty despicable thing. Did I lie to go out and stay out late and say I was at a friend's house and do stuff that teenagers do? Yeah. Did I try to frame somebody or frame a teacher for sexual assault? No, because I knew I wasn't a piece of shit. So, again, I hope that if this is proven that this was made up and to get even with Velveteen because he blocked them or did something, feet to the fire, no matter how old they are, hold them accountable. And if Velveteen did this and me and DT,
I'll fry him too, man.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go back on here and put his feet to his ass to the fire too. But if someone made this up to get even because they were butthurt over someone blocking them or not giving them time or he talked to me now he's not talking to me anymore. And listen, we know there's people who do shit like that, and if they did that, again, to accountable to every letter of the law.
Yeah, and it's another thing too. Originally it was 3 girls, then it was 3 boys, and then the 2 screenshot conversations, one is of a guy, a kid, a male, one is of a female. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of, see, this is the thing. I younger people out there just need to understand, we're not trying to play you off like, oh, we're experiencing this and that. It's just that when you're on the internet for 25 years and you have, edited and photoshopped and, spliced and this and that, there's a lot of tiny little forensic incidentals that you can do. You could masquerade your phone number to make it appear whatever you want on a caller ID. You can buy a virtual number and you put in what you want the caller ID could be, and you can masquerade and make it whatever you want. Like I said, I personally, my opinion, I could be way off on this. I'm usually not wrong, and this is just a guess, an assumption. But in my opinion, when you have people 15, 16, and 17, which is the ages that they claim to be, all right, I don't think that when you accuse someone of something, I don't think they realize, number one, how detailed little things could be checked. Just blowing up a photo and seeing that Photoshop, the pixels around it, seeing certain things, realizing this, realizing that. And again, when you go early in the morning of those people saying, we don't know if he got hacked. And then he goes public and says, a couple of hours later, and says, look, I didn't do any of this stuff. Why wouldn't you immediately say, okay, maybe he didn't do this? Instead, if you look at the tweets that were posted right after his statement, those tweets were anger. It was as if people wanted to insist that he did this. I don't know why anybody out there would almost literally hope that he did this. They would not accept that. And, again, they posted videos, a clip. What school do you go to? And people like, that's proof. He's pedophile, convict him. And I'm like, motherfuckers, college people go to school, morons. Where's the proof that he knew that the kid was 16 when he asked about the school? Why is that conversation separate from the audio clip? They posted video, but yet the photo is a still shot, and there's no video of the conversation leading to something sexual. So I think somebody fucked around with a couple of things and then didn't think it through. 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe you're overtired, you don't realize it. And I think the next day, once things started to come out and people like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. What about this? And then, oh, by the way, he was on a group page that night, and the group page is called Fuck Ends. And then that got out, and then the kid deletes his social media. I'm telling you, I think the fact that WWE did not make a statement after one day that says we are looking into the matter. Plain and simple. Nothing. Zero. I think the lack of statements is very telling.
So you think, DT, or a phrase I haven't heard you use in a while, nothing burger?
Yeah, I think it's a nothing burger. I really do. And, that just shows you how dangerous social media could be.
It is, man. It is.
Because, so something like that, it gets legs. And again, it's almost like people will refuse to accept that maybe the guy didn't do it, So, we'll see what happens Wednesday. NXT, I think, is being taped Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, but it is being taped earlier in the day. So we'll see if Velveteen Dream is kept off a week or two. We'll see if he's on, business as usual. And, we'll see what else goes down. King of Swanstyle wants to know, do we think that Karrion Kross attacked Finn Balor? Think it's a possibility?
Possible, yeah. He might be going after a series of people, not just Ciampa.
Yeah, I mean, Balor was technically a heel. Now all of a sudden, look, the funny thing about Balor last week is all they found were clothes. So there's like no evidence that he got attacked at all. They just found clothes. So I wouldn't immediately buy that he got attacked, But Cassette, before we go, Cassette wanted me to ask you, Mish, who do you got in a match between Al Perez, the Black Scorpion, and The Fiend?
Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Al. I have to go with The Fiend. Al Perez in his prime, I would go. If it was a scientific match, but no, The Fiend probably I would go with. Black Scorpion, please.
Yeah.
Black Scorpion was Ric Flair, Barry Windham, Al Perez, and a series of other people. Black Scorpion was like 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, that was a disaster. For everybody out there, if you want to go check this out, Tuesday, Impact Wrestling is going to be doing part 2, night 2 of Rebellion, and they're teasing what the future of the world title will be. So, Tessa Blanchard hasn't competed because of, what's going on with coronavirus. Neither is Michael Elgin. So I'm wondering, do you think there's any possibility that Impact Wrestling tries to do an interim champion also, just like NXT is doing with the Cruiserweight title?
I think so. I think it's a good possibility, actually. But who would that be?
Yeah. Well, it's got to be somebody who's willing to perform right now, but...
Tessa's not willing to perform, right?
Well, it's not that she's not willing to perform. I think some people report she's stuck in Mexico. So I mean, I just think that because of the virus right now, maybe she just doesn't want to compete. I mean, Michael Elgin he wanted to compete, but because of what's going on, I thought it was excellent.
Eddie Edwards too. Eddie Edwards couldn't compete either. I watched for the first time last week, Impact. I watched it last week because I wanted to see a guy who I've always liked and always underrated, Crazy Steve. Well, I actually named one of my cats after I call my cat Crazy Steve. And I like Crazy Steve, and he came back for the first time, teamed up with Tommy Dreamer and Rhino. So that's why I watched it. And they have some good people in Impact. I was kind of shaking my head saying they have some good people here. And it's a shame they just can't get that momentum or that buzz. You know, they're kind of always lagging and afterthoughts behind WWE and AEW. They got a good crew. They got a good crew there, though.
Did you see this plaque that WWE put out for WrestleMania, $75 Undertaker plaque? And
yes, I saw it. Yeah,
you get also a capsule of the dirt that they brawled on, or the burial, the graveyard, the tomb, or the plot.
Yeah, I tell you, if I was working now and back in business, I would probably want to have something like that. I'm a big Undertaker fan, so it was nice to me. I was like, if I was working, I'd probably pick it up. But it's not bad. You think it's worth $75 though?
Honestly, I'll say this: the plaque is nice. There's no autograph, so to me, it's not worth $75. But for people that are making a big deal that I'm paying $75 for dirt, that's no different than when WWE cuts a piece of the apron or cuts a piece of the turnbuckle and puts that in the plaque as well. So it's not necessarily you're paying $75 because of dirt. It's the plaque, the presentation, and instead of putting, piece of the person's shirt, you're putting a capsule of dirt in there as well. So I don't think it's worth $75, whether it was apron or even if they cut like Undertaker's boxers and put a piece in there. I don't think it's worth $75.
I wouldn't want that. But I'm looking at the chat site. I'll blow up a picture and put it on Discord. And look, I mean, it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing to have. And if you got $75 burning in your pocket, pick it up. But you're right, DT. It's not autographed. I'm looking at it now. I mean, it's numbered. They have a certain amount of them. Mm-hmm. It's a nice. If you're an Undertaker fan, it's a nice piece to have from that WrestleMania, and it was the best match of those 2 days. So that was the highlight of it. If you want to remember the most bizarre WrestleMania you ever saw during coronavirus times, pick it up if you got $75.
Yeah. No? By the way, shout out to everybody on YouTube right now, especially. There's about 1,000 of you. So usually we cut off in the next 2-3 minutes. So we're going to exit, and when tomorrow on Patreon, is it your solo show or is it KNT
Solo show tomorrow, 8:15 Castle Chronicles, 8:15 on Discord. Sign up right now if you want to. $5 Don Tony Patreon. Sign up.
Yeah,
if you're not already.
This Wednesday I'll do Wednesday Night Dynamite. I'll get into some more of the Velveteen Dream stuff. I'll also discuss the Bellas and their memoir that they're penning, or it's coming out next week. Got a few things. We'll see if my predictions for the whole TNT Championship tournament remain intact. So far, I am perfect. If everything goes well on Wednesday, Lance Archer will beat the balls off of Dustin and send a message, almost like after Ivan Drago killed Apollo Creed. I must break you. And it'll come down to Cody in the finals against Lance Archer, with Lance Archer winning the belt. We'll see.
Nice.
All right, Kev. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, just real quick, just special shout out to Adam, Tracy, Adam D, and Patrick. Very helpful with me recently with something. They know what it is. And a shout out to this guy named Carrion.
Okay. And if you had a choice right now, Ruby Riott getting a win or a Yoo-Hoo, what would you have?
Ruby Riott what?
Ruby Riott getting a win or a Yoo-Hoo?
Ruby Riott getting a win. I'm all Yoo-Hoo'd out, DT. Between you and someone else sent me Yoo-Hoo. I gotta calm down on Yoo-Hoo until I can get out, get out and about again. On house arrest until they lift the sanctions. I'm gonna give Yoo-Hoo a break, but thank you for that.
All right, cool. All right, well, we're about to get cut off. Got to make it under the 2-hour mark, so the video's available right away. So, Kev, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night, YouTube, Discord. Good night, DT. Peace.
All right, take it easy. All right, everybody. I'm out of here. We're going to cut this off right before the 2-hour mark. Could stay longer, but honestly, got a show on Wednesday, got a show on Friday. Looks like Mish and I will be doing this on Friday, so we hope you tune in. You'll watch me cry and have some pain. And I'm telling you, please keep spreading the word. Thank you for the support. I'm about to get cut off, so be well, everybody. Much love. Ciao.